As you prepare to begin your research, it is important to review some basics. While some of this information may not be new to you, take the time to review the general definitions, consider the goals of research, and think about the best places and methods for the early stages of a research project. On library databases, Google Scholar, or general search engine results, you will frequently come across different types of publications. The one likely to be most preferred by university faculty is peer-reviewed academic journal articles, also known as scholarly articles. Like the magazines you see at the store, these journals are published periodically. However, unlike popular magazines, they cover serious fields of scientific and humanities research and are written by scholars, professionals, and experts in their fields. These articles might seem intimidating at first, but know that they are something essential to your work as a student. The reason your professors will likely want you to utilize scholarly articles in your research projects centers around the practice of peer review. This is when an article is offered to be read and evaluated by other experts in a given field. After suggestions and revisions are made, each scholarly article is considered authoritative and endorsed by a consensus of experts, rendering that material reliable. As you will see in our lesson about database search strategies, many databases offer a function to limit your search results to only those with complete peer review status. Given the importance of scholarly articles in your research as a student, it is worth taking the time to review the anatomy of what one of these journal articles looks like. There are standardized sections commonly found in most academic journal articles. The first is the abstract. This section offers a brief summation of the goal of the article or study and might include mention of the research results. The introduction offers a description of why the article came to be, what the goals of the study were, and why the researchers felt it was an important enough topic to warrant in-depth investigation. The literature review, which is occasionally embedded in the introduction but can also appear as its own section, covers similar studies, scholarly articles, and researchers that have guided the current question and methods being used. This section shows us a snapshot of what type of research came before the paper we are currently reading and can advise our understanding of the status quo at the time of publication. Also, the literature review can prove to be an excellent source for identifying other related scholarly articles you may want to locate and review. The methods section covers how the study or research was conducted. In an article covering a hard science field, such as biology, this section is likely to be quite in-depth, with the detailed plans for data collection and analysis. In a humanities-related article, it might cover more qualitative research standards. The difference between qualitative and quantitative research is something we'll revisit momentarily. The next section is results. Here we learn what the methodology of the study led to and are able to investigate actual data and results. These sections tend to be a bit technical, and you'll frequently find charts and graphs which help summarize and visualize the data. Next, the discussion, or sometimes known as the analysis section, offers the researchers an opportunity to interpret their data. This is when the article will likely shift from technical and hard data-focused description to a more narrative tone of what the result potentially means to the field of study. And finally, the conclusion section summarizes what was learned throughout the course of research and frequently recommends areas of improvement or future study. To briefly revisit the subject of qualitative versus quantitative research, it is important to note that this differentiation is not made strictly along the lines of hard sciences versus the humanities. You are likely to see a combination of both qualitative and quantitative methods and data in some of the articles you find. So take a moment to consider the difference between the two. The general distinction is that qualitative research relies more on non-numerical data and will therefore present a more text-heavy scholarly article. Quantitative research, on the other hand, centers on the production and analysis of numerical data or other data points, which can at least be analyzed numerically. Keep these distinctions in mind, as you might find that including both quantitative and qualitative sources in your research projects will help strengthen the overall quality of your work. While we mentioned that academic journal articles are the most trusted type of research material in higher education, we need to acknowledge that other types of research materials exist, and you may find them useful throughout your work as a student. Depending on your specific project and needs, trade publication articles will also turn up in your database search results. Similar to academic journals, these magazine-style periodical publications feature articles written by experts in a field or industry. The main difference between trade journal articles and scholarly articles is the lack of stringent review. These articles will be more focused on recent news, industry trends, opinion pieces, and other timely topics. The benefit of foregoing the peer review process is that trade articles can be created and published at a much faster rate, given that they don't require stringent review. Therefore, if you are interested in a current event or a fast-changing field, you might discover that trade publication articles will play a major role in your research. Also, popular magazine articles will be available via some database searches. These are the publications you are most likely to find at the checkout of your local grocery store, and their most defining feature separating them from scholarly or trade articles is that these articles are written by journalists, rather than specific field experts or scholars. The goal of a popular magazine article is to entertain, rather than to exclusively inform, and they lack both peer review and field expert endorsement. Finally, newspaper articles, also written by journalists, do meet the research qualification standard of being motivated by an intent to inform an audience. However, while news articles can provide valid and even verifiable information, the specific sources utilized to gather the article is not as transparent as you might find with scholarly or trade articles, making them less easy to evaluate as reliable. As you engage with research materials, consider the more philosophical notions behind what it means to conduct research. Many of your own efforts as a student will begin with a project assigned by a professor. However, consider that every time you choose to look something up in any context, even just from idle curiosity, you are essentially conducting research. Allow this curiosity and desire for information gathering to motivate you in your work, whether you're completing an assignment, working on a major project such as a thesis, or just working on a passion project on a topic that interests you. Note that the goal of research is not to read every single article on the topic in question. The reason we provide you with tools for narrowing search results to those with the most relevance to your specific needs is to ensure that your research results are manageable. While you can expect to do a great amount of reading once you have identified articles and other materials, don't feel that you have to read every word of every article in order to determine if it's relevant in the first place. You will find that starting with the aforementioned abstract of an article is a great method to make a relevance determination efficiently. Read the entire abstract, skim the following article sections, and decide if this article is right for your research project. If it is, you can then collect it for more in-depth reading and review. Research efforts generally follow a cyclical pattern of collect, read, and write. First, using the tools provided by this and other research lessons, you search for and collect relevant resources. Either as you go or once you have collected a number of materials, you will read and review each article more thoroughly. Finally, you will write your paper based on what you have collected and read. This process may be completed several times, or you may find yourself skipping between the various steps as you go. As we are mainly focused on the collect phase, a few tools might prove useful for you. First, as we mentioned before, really focus on reading those abstracts and reviewing the various article sections as you conduct your research. Also, look for citation software integration, which you will find readily available on most database interfaces. Learning how to use export features into programs like EndNote and Mendeley can be so helpful for staying organized as you collect materials. Rather than printing endless pages of scholarly articles, digitally collect the articles you deem relevant for your purposes and keep them organized and seamless across multiple devices.